Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 14, Text 41. Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate brahma tasyapi Binna bandhat payoyata Brahmana samadrikshanto Dinanam samupekshaka Shravate Brahma Tasyapi Binna Bandhat Payoyata Brahmana Samadrikshanto Dinanam Samupekshaka Shravate Brahma Tasyapi Binna Bandhat Payoyata Brahmana Samadrikshanto Dinanam Samupekshaka Shravati Brahma Tasyapi Bina Bandhat Payoyata Brahmana Samadrikshanto Ninanam Samupekshata Shravati Brahma Tasyapi Bina Bandhat Payoyata. Mataji? Brahmana Samadrikshanto Dinanam Samupekshaka Shravati Brahma Tasyapi Dina Bandhat Payoyata Brahmana Samadrikshanto Dinanam Samupekshakaha Shravate Brahma Tasyapi Dina Bandhat Payoyata Brahmana Samadrikshanto Dinanam Samupekshakaha Shravate Brahma Tasyapi Dina Bandhat Payoyataha. Okay, word for word. Brahmana, a Brahmana. Samadrik, equiposed. Santaha, peaceful. Dinanam, the poor. Samupekshakaha, grossly neglecting. Shravate, diminishes. Brahma, spiritual power. Tasya, his. Api, certainly. Bina bandhat, from a cracked pot. Payaha, water. Yata, just as. Translation: the great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Brahmanas, the topmost section of human society, are mostly devotees. They are generally unaware of the happenings within the material world because they are always busy in their activities for spiritual advancement. Nonetheless, when there is a calamity in human society, they cannot remain impartial. If they do not do something to relieve the distressed condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit, but Prahlad Maharaj said that he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. In their elevated condition, the Brahmanas are called Vaishnavas. There are two types of Brahmanas, namely Brahmana Pandita and Brahmana Vaishnava. A qualified Brahman is naturally very learned, but when his learning is advanced in the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes a Brahmana Vaishnava. Unless one becomes a Vaishnava, one's perfection of Brahminical culture is incomplete. The saintly persons considered very wisely that although King Vena was very sinful, he was born in a family descending from Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, the semen in the family must be protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Keshava. As such, the sages wanted to take some steps to relieve the situation for want of a king. Everything was being disturbed and turned topsy-turvy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Nrumna Swaminiti Namine Namo Prabhupada Pridasaya Jagannatha Yatra Nanda Murtaye Bhakta Sukena Krishna Kirtanena Narsimhena Rakshataya Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulam Gayate Grim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So today I'll try to speak a little bit on this verse, although being very unqualified to speak on this topic. The qualities of a Brahmana and the differentiation between Brahmana and Vaishnava, and of course what the duty of a Brahmana in this world and this time is something very unique and deep topic that can be discussed. But I'll try to give a little bit of the realizations I had upon reading this verse and what I've heard other people speak on this verse also. Luckily, I was able to find some other great devotees giving this class. So, as we can see in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is describing that a Brahmana, even though he is impartial, and the sages are saying the same thing, they're impartial means they do not take sides, they do not generally get involved with the materialistic life of the citizens, of the people in general, because they are focused on their own salvation and the salvation of those who approach them for that purpose. Right? Brahmanas are there to guide society, but they are detached from the results of their actions, which means that when people come to them for help, they give advice, they give instruction, but they're detached whether that person continues following or not. Right? It's like if a child comes and the child, wants to touch the fire, the father says, don't touch the fire. The child still wants to touch the fire. The father says, okay, touch, you'll see what happens. He's detached. Right? So the Brahmanas, in the same way, they give their instruction, but at the end of the day, they're supposed to be detached from whatever happens after that. And we see history tells so many stories of Brahmanas who were not detached and had to suffer great calamities because they became too involved with the people they're guiding. Right? One of the best or most famous analogies was with Kripacharya and Dronacharya with the Kurus. Right? They were there to give advice to the Kurus, but they became so dependent and indebted to the Kurus that even when the Kurus went off the path of Dharma, they had no choice but to continue supporting and even fighting alongside with them against Dharma. Right? They became too dependent on them. So they were not detached. So if a Brahmana is independent and not, manipulated by the rich people yesterday? No, on Sunday, Govindadev Prabhu was talking about this very point, how nowadays politicians and rulers of society, they're completely manipulated by the people who paid to put them in that position. And therefore, they cannot actually say what they want to do. They can't actually do something good for society because they have to make sure they don't get in the way of those people who paid them to be there. Right? So a Brahmana shouldn't be in that position. A Brahmana should be free to say what is right and teach what is right and communicate what is right, irregardless of who is saying otherwise. Right? Whatever is happening in society shouldn't change what is right. And that's why you guarantee the educational system to be always pure. Because let's say one generation is condemned, right, in this example. Right? One generation is going to hell because of not guided properly, greed, lust, anger, whatever it may be. But the next generation that is getting trained by the Brahmanas will be trained in the proper way. But now we see the opposite happening, that the schools are being manipulated by the governments that are already corrupt, and so therefore the next generation is going to be worse than the generation before. And it just keeps getting worse. And the governments know that, so whatever agendas they want, they put into the educational system, and the next generation will come with this brainwashed situation where they're already ready to accept whatever they tell you to do. All right, so this is not the situation of a Brahmana. They must be detached, and therefore they're able to give the proper advice. But as they are detached, as described in this verse, when they see a calamity happening within society, they must do something. They cannot tolerate the pain either of themselves or of others. Right? We get this example in the story of Karna. Right? Karna was posing to be a Brahmana to learn the science of martial arts from Parashuram. Right? And there's the famous pastime where Parashuram was laying on his leg, right? Was taking a nap, and a bug came and started eating inside Karna's thigh. But being a Kshatriya, he thought, I shouldn't disturb my Guru Maharaj, and so he didn't move. And the bug was getting deeper and deeper in his thigh, and blood was coming out to the point where Parashuram woke up because of the blood on his face. And so when Parashuram woke up, he noticed that this is not a Brahmana. This kind of tolerance isn't even the right word, this kind of stubborn-headedness, this quality of being able to just continue on even when something is being disturbed, is Kshatriya nature. Brahmanas aren't like that. Brahmanas can tolerate all kinds of physical difficulties for the purpose of salvation, but when it's something needless, they immediately take action. So when Brahmanas see the suffering of other living entities in the same way, they can't tolerate it. They can't sit by and do nothing. They always come and help. They come give advice. They come do whatever they can to alleviate this suffering. And they do it in the best way possible. Right? We see so many examples of that. For example, after Parashuram, right? After Parashuram destroyed the 21 generations of Kshatriyas, the Brahmanas stepped forward, right? To have new progeny with the queens, so the new generation of Kshatriyas that would be born would be Raja Rishis, would be great sages in the place of kings. They would be able to rule the land without being attached to greed, right? Without being attached to opulence, power. Right? In Narada Muni, there's hundreds of cases where Narada Muni saw the suffering of the living entities and wanted to accelerate the advent of the Lord in this world. He went to Kamsa, gave him advice what to do. Right? He went to Hiranyakashipu and gave him advice what to do. Right? He wanted Nrsingadev to come, and so he took the wife of Hiranyakashipu when the demigods kidnapped her. Right? He took the wife, brought her to his ashram, and taught Prahlad Maharaj in the womb the science of bhakti. Knowing that the mother would forget everything, but the child would be born knowing everything. And therefore the Lord would come. Right? He could have just stayed aloof, but no, he's going to every single place where the Lord is supposed to perform pastimes and helping it happen, because to alleviate the suffering of the jivas. Right? There's also the pastime of Vyasadeva. So after Vichitravirya passed away, who was the king of the earth at that time, his two wives still hadn't had any children. And so out of compassion, Vyasadeva came and begot Pandu and Dhritarashtra and Vidura from the queens. Of course, Vidura was born from the maid, but still, Vyasadeva didn't have to do that. He's a sage, he's eternal, he lives as long as Brahma. What does it matter to him if like a small, little, insignificant king happens or not? You think how many yuga cycles go on in a day of Brahma, right? And he lives as long as Brahma. What does it matter to him if someone, is born or not born, if one generation doesn't happen? But he comes. He can't sit by and do nothing, right? There's a very famous story. I'm trying to go in order, but there's just so many. There's the other story of when Indra needed to kill Vritrasura, right? It was Indra's fault that Vritrasura was born. Does everybody know the story of Vritrasura? He's in Bhagavatam. So what happened was Indra killed the Brahmana. Yes, this Brahmana was performing sacrifices for the demigods and was the Kula Guru, which means the guru of the house of the demigods. And so the Brahmana was doing sacrifices for the demigods, but at the same time, because part of his parents were demons, he was performing, part of the yajna offerings were going to the demons. And so Indra, being upset at this, he decided to kill this Brahmana because he's making the demons more powerful. But when he killed the Brahmana, he obviously got so much sin from killing a Brahmana, and the father of the Brahmana decided to have a son who would kill Indra. And so he did a yajna, and Vritrasura was born. This immense demon with the power of a universe, just unbelievably powerful. And so what did Indra have to do? He had to go to Dadichi, another sage, and ask Dadichi to please give your bones to be able to make the weapon that can kill this demon. And Dadichi, the first thing he does is correct Indra. Say, because of your lust and greed and your desire for this power, you killed a Brahmana, now you're in this situation, and now you're asking me to give up my body to help you. Right? But still, Dadichi did it. Why? Because if Indra is not there, then the whole universe goes into calamity. It goes out of its proper function. So even correcting Indra, telling him it's your fault, still Dadichi was willing to give his life for the purpose of protecting the whole universe. Yeah? He didn't have to. He could have easily left it alone, but he did it. There's another pastime in Mahabharata where Markandeya Rishi, we know, right? He lives eternal, right? He never passes away. But when the Pandavas were sent into exile and they were completely confused about what their next purpose is in life and what they should do and how they should continue to perform their duty with no one to protect, the Kshatriya's duty is to protect others, right? To give facility for others to perform their devotional activities. And so they were confused. So Markandeya Rishi came and spoke to them in the forest. It's another instance where someone who lives eternal comes to fix the problems. It's like if we came and helped an ant make his little house, right? It really doesn't matter to us what happens with the ant. And it's going to come and go. 100 ants will come and go in 1 week of ours, right? And it doesn't matter to us. But he came to help those devotees, Markandeya Rishi, right? And he told them the proper activities they should perform and how they should go on austerities and go listen from so many different sages and use this time to accumulate both spiritual and material power. Material power, he advised Arjuna to go to the heavenly planets to get all the weapons of the demigods. Right? So Arjuna went and did his austerity and got the Pashupata from Shiva, got the Vajra from Indra, got so many different weapons from all the different demigods because of the advice of Markandeya Rishi. And they all became great devotees during this trip. They were already, but they became even more. Yeah, because of the advice. There's also little more controversial instances where the sages, because of anger, they curse someone, right? They make him into a crocodile, they make him into a tree, they make him into this. But you see, 99% of the time, what happens? Those people get the darshan of either the Lord or a great devotee of the Lord, and get to go back to Godhead after that. So even something that seems a little bit controversial is actually for the greatest benefit of this suffering living entity. The living entity was not performing his proper duty and suffering in material enjoyment, thinking he's happy. For example, Nalukuvera Manigriva, right? They were thinking they're happy, enjoying with the damsels of the heavenly planets in the lakes of Kuvera, And when Narada Muni cursed them to become trees, you would think that this isn't right. The Brahmana is getting involved where he shouldn't. He's cursing someone to become a tree for many hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. This isn't right. But what happened? They got touched by Ladu Gopal, right? They got touched by Krishna. And they achieved eternal positions in the spiritual world. There's also the pastime of Durvasa Muni cursing the Gandharva to become a crocodile. Oh, one of the times he cursed someone to become a crocodile. It's kind of his go-to curse sometimes, right? And that Gandharva got darshan of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu touched him with his lotus feet. So this is another instance where it seems a little controversial. Why is the Brahmana getting angry and cursing someone? But it was for his ultimate benefit. And this we see in so many different places. Yeah? Jai Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai. Then, coming a little bit more towards the spiritual side, there's the pastime of Ramanuja, right? When Ramanujacharya wanted to get initiated by Goshti Purna, I think was his name, at first he was rejected. 15 times he was rejected for initiation. And the reason why he was rejected for initiation is that Goshti Purna told him that this mantra that you're supposed to get in your initiation is so sacred that if you misuse it, I get bad karma. If you misuse it, you'll go to hell for hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. Right? If you tell it to someone who's unqualified. And so Ramanujacharya, he asked his spiritual master, he said, what is the benefit of hearing this mantra? And so the spiritual master told him that if someone hears this mantra 3 times, they will go back to Godhead immediately. All their sins will be purified. They'll be completely Krishna conscious and they'll be able to go back to Vaikuntha if they hear it from someone who's pure. 3 times. And so Ramanujacharya got initiated by this devotee and received the mantra Om Namo Narayanaya. And the first thing he did was he went to the town, to the center of the town, and he told everyone, I'm going to give you a big treasure. Please come together. Everyone come. So the whole town came together. And he climbed to the top of a tower and he shouted to everyone, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, 3 times. And everyone felt extremely happy and blessed and all their worries and miseries, everything, because they heard it from someone who's a pure devotee. And then the spiritual master came, burning to Ramanuja, how can you do this? I told you what will happen to you if you distribute this name. And he said, I'm willing to do that. I will go to hell, but all these people will go back to Godhead. He couldn't tolerate the suffering of people. He would rather he suffers than everyone else suffer. Go back to Godhead. The same pastime is in Mahaprabhu's time. Right? The devotee Mukunda Dutt, I think. Right? Vasudev Dutt, right? He told Mahaprabhu, please deliver everyone in the universe at this moment and put all their sins in me. Let me go to hell for all their sufferings, but let them go back to Godhead. He was such a pure devotee, he couldn't tolerate the suffering of living entities. He didn't want to sit idly by and focus on his own bhajan. So there's so many pastimes like this where brahmanas come down from their personal bhajan to be able to assist because they cannot tolerate the suffering. And the greatest example is Jagai Madai. Right? Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they seeing the suffering of Jagai Madai, they thought 2 things. Nityananda Prabhu thought that if we are able to deliver Jagai Madai, they who are suffering so much will be able to go back to Godhead, number 1. And all the other people who are suffering as well will become more intrigued and more eager to take shelter of Mahaprabhu after seeing the transformation of these 2 people. If they can be transformed, we can as well. Right? And so to great personal, danger, the first time when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur saw Jagai Madai in the marketplace, they were burning a shop and beating people, without consideration. And so Nityananda Prabhu at that moment, when they were so furious and angry, approached them and told them, please chant Gauranga's name, please take shelter of Gauranga. And Jagai Madai chased them out of the marketplace, trying to kill them, chased them out of the marketplace. And so they ran away. And then the next time when they saw them at the Ghat, right? Nityananda Prabhu was just going to take his bath, and Jagai Madai were sitting there at the Ghat. The Ghat means the bathing place on the side of the Ganga. Right? And then when they saw Nityananda Prabhu, they were like, this time you won't escape. And so at that moment, Nityananda Prabhu also told them, please chant Gauranga's name. And then they threw the pot at Nityananda Prabhu's head, right? Jagai threw the pot at Nityananda Prabhu's head. It started bleeding profusely. And then seeing this, Madai felt sadness in his heart, seeing the suffering. The purity of Nityananda Prabhu managed to purify Madai even just a little bit. So he started feeling empathy. And he tried to protect Nityananda Prabhu from being hit again. And then we know the story. Mahaprabhu came, displayed his anger form with Sudarshan Chakra. And Nityananda Prabhu had to remind Mahaprabhu that in this life, this is not what you came for. Everyone in this world is so impure, they should be cut by your Sudarshan Chakra, Nityananda Prabhu said. Everyone deserves to be killed at this moment. If you're taking this kind of general, test, right? Everyone in this world is so impure and so demoniac in their desires that they should be killed. This is not what we came for. We came to purify them. So therefore Mahaprabhu was still very angry, but then when he heard Madai protected Nityananda Prabhu, he gave his mercy to Madai. And when Jagai saw that Madai got completely delivered, he started feeling, jealousy. He's like, how come he got and I didn't? We drank together, right? We killed people together. We burned houses together. And he gets the mercy and I don't. How does this work? Right? So he asked Mahaprabhu, how is this work? This isn't fair. You're discriminating. And so Mahaprabhu said that he protected Nityananda Prabhu. You performed a great offense. There's nothing I can do. And so Jagai had to go apologize to Nityananda Prabhu and get his mercy first. And then when Nityananda Prabhu recommended Jagai for Mahaprabhu's mercy, then he also got the mercy. So this pastime, we see that Nityananda Prabhu, he is the most merciful. And at great personal risk, of course, we understand Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram himself. There's nothing in this universe or in creation that can even slightly hurt him in any way, shape, or form. But still, he did it. He didn't have to, he did it. And everything that Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu was doing was purely out of their own causeless mercy. They were going house to house and getting people to say the name of Krishna one time because they couldn't tolerate the suffering. So this verse shows us the true nature of a Brahmana, and Prabhupada speaks about it in the purport. How someone who actually achieved the maturity of his Brahminical qualities, which is true understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and one's duty towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then one becomes a Vaishnava. Unless one knows God and one's relation to God is incomplete, his knowledge. Right? Many religions now in this world, and even from before, sometimes they're incomplete because they don't know who God is and they don't know what their relationship to God is. And so therefore, all they're doing is knowing what not to do, be good, don't hurt people, give a little bit of charity. It's all kind of morality based. But when you try to take it one step beyond that, it's incomplete. My Guru Maharaj always gives the example that you go to someone and they're preaching, love God, and you say, okay, I want to love God. Who is he? I don't know. What does he look like? I don't know. Where does he live? Up there. Right? What does he do all day? I don't know. So it's incomplete. They get to that beginning portion where they know they're supposed to love God because of their sincerity. But when you want to take it one step further, they do not know. So we're very fortunate to be part of this society, part of this Krishna consciousness movement that has the answers. They can not only tell you how to get out of here, but what to look forward to and what to strive to be. And how our relationship with God should be in the future. And this is all because of the causeless mercy of people who could not tolerate the suffering. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, the most merciful. right? We know the risks he took. When he came into Jaladuta, he had 2 heart attacks in the boat. A normal person would have given up before going. Then a very, extremely special person would have given up when they arrived there. Right? 2 heart attacks? Okay, now I can, take it easy. I tried. That's a very special person, but Prabhupada went way above and beyond that. He had another heart attack when he started in New York. And then when he was extremely sick, he went to India at the very beginning of the movement. He was there for a couple of months and he came back again. He could have given up, that said, I made devotees. There is some sort of movement happening in the West because of my preaching. But no, Prabhupada was not satisfied. Not enough people were delivered. Not enough people came to know about Krishna consciousness. So this is the quality of a real Brahmana, someone who truly cannot tolerate. And it's not on a material level. He wasn't telling people how to do yoga and pranayama to be healthy. He wasn't teaching people what medicines to take, even though Prabhupada knew what medicines to take. Right? That's not what he was teaching. He taught people how to really get rid of the true suffering of this world, the root of all suffering. There's one pastime that keeps coming to my mind. There was one Mataji, and her daughter had cancer, I think. It was young, the girl, I think 15, 16. And so they came to Srila Prabhupada, and they were saying, Srila Prabhupada, we don't know what to do, she's dying. And Prabhupada became so stern and serious. He said, we are all dying. Right? He says, can't you understand what I've been saying for months and years? I've been telling you, we're not this body, we're all dying. I may die tomorrow, she may die next week. We're all dying. They were coming to Srila Prabhupada looking for some sort of sympathy, like, oh, you poor baby, I'm so sorry for you. I understand, it must be pain. No, Prabhupada just went straight back to the philosophy. We're all dying. Right? And the girl was very enlivened by this, and she took Krishna consciousness very seriously, understanding that Prabhupada, he's actually looking out for her. He's looking out for her soul, not just for the body. Telling the urgency that we're all dying, so take advantage and focus on your Krishna consciousness. Yeah, there's a not karmic, but I would say in this world now people say, live life like it's your last, Enjoy the most because you don't know when you're gonna die. Yeah, YOLO, we only live once, right? This is their motto. It should be our motto as well. We don't know. We might die tomorrow. Are we Krishna consciousness enough that we could die right now? Are we ready right now? If we're not ready, then we have work to do. Yeah, because we don't want to have to come back here. We don't want to have to be born again. We don't know if we're going to get such opportunities again. Yeah, so live life like we're going to die tomorrow or now or this afternoon. And then we'll be a little bit more serious. A little bit more focused on our Krishna consciousness. Yeah? Okay, so this is what I had planned. If there's any questions or comments. Yes, Balaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Haribol. Oh. Thank you, Prabhu. I wonder, Prabhupada says also, when we become Vaishnavas, then how to say this? Automatically all Brahminical qualifications are realized. And then I wonder if we strive to be Vaishnavas, that means it becomes immediately the duty of everyone to give knowledge, right? Because the verse is saying that the Brahmanas start to lose their knowledge, like a pot dripping water or losing water. So that means everybody here is actually, everyone's duty is to some extent, preach the gospel. I mean, I don't mean to say that everyone should go on the street now. It would be good, but at least in one's own circle, family.
Absolutely, bro. But to give something, you must first have something. And you'll see this trait among all devotees, those great preachers, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit, Srinivasacharya, all the Goswamis. They went through a period of great focus on themselves because they saw the urgency. They went through a period where they were focusing on their own sadhana, on their own knowledge, on their own studies, in order to then be able to fully give, truly give to other people. And so to the extent we purify ourselves and become real Vaishnavas, to that extent the Brahminical qualities develop within us, naturally. Right? You'll see those devotees who all they've been doing is cooking in a kitchen for 50 years in Mayapur, and they're the most amazing devotees. You'll see all the qualities in them. They've never gone to some specific school, they've never done some specific character development courses, but they're impeccable. You know, the most humble, the most subservient, the most eager to help others. And so naturally those qualities develop when one is sincere in developing his Krishna consciousness. But until we have something that we can actually share naturally and wholeheartedly, then we have to share what other people have given, and therefore book distribution. Right? What do we have? We have the books of Srila Prabhupada, and so therefore that's what we give others. And the more we purify ourselves, the more eager we'll be to do that. And so, yeah, like you said, Prabhu, we are all aspiring devotees, aspiring Vaishnavas, trying to get there, and the qualities of the Brahmana will become more and more manifest as we progress in our Krishna consciousness. And so that duty to share the wealth, as Srila Prabhupada says, share the knowledge, becomes more and more prevalent the further we progress in Krishna consciousness. But for right now, then we focus on ourselves and what we naturally feel inspired to give, and what we learn we can share.
And how do you know when is the turning point is coming and it's enough, to boil the milk, they say?
I personally always feel that when you have a realization, you should share it. So when you get something, you should share it. So if you realize something, if you hear something really far out, tell as many people as you can. Bring it up in every conversation that you hear, you think it's slightly related to, because you have understood it. You find it very important to you. And if everyone does that, everyone will be sharing a great wealth of knowledge. And so it should be wholehearted, and it should be something that you actually imbibe. Right? There's the pastime with the sadhu and the sugar candy, right? You know this pastime, the mother had a child that was constantly getting sick because he was eating too much sugar candy. And the sugar candy, doesn't matter where the mother would hide it, the child would find it or take it from other houses and find a way to find the sugar candy and eat it, and then he would get sick. And so the mother, out of desperation, decided to take him to the Baba, the sadhu outside the village. And maybe with his instruction, some mystical thing will happen and the child will stop eating sugar candy. So the mother took him to the sadhu, and the sadhu said, actually, could you come back in 2 weeks? And so the mother, a little confused, but not going to argue with the sadhu, said, okay. So in 2 weeks, she brought the child back. And the sadhu said, I need 1 more week. 1 more week, and then I'll be able to help you. And so the mother brought, and some stories say it happened again, but either way, you get the point. So the mother came again, and the sadhu said, my dear boy, don't eat sugar candy, it's making you sick. Child said, okay, never ate sugar candy again. Mother was confused. She came back a month later, very grateful to the sadhu, and said, my dear sadhu, thank you so much, it worked. But why the 2 weeks and then 1 week? What happened? And so the sadhu said that I myself was attached to eating sugar candy. And so if I tell him, it won't have any effect. So in the same way that if we have some anarthas and we're trying to preach something that we haven't really imbibed or even taken importance to, it has very little effect. But if we really, even if we haven't fully applied it in our life, or if we haven't realized it, so to speak, but if we really understand the importance of it, and if that's helping us, to share it helps someone else. So in a natural form, whatever, I think that's the turning point. When you start, realizing things, and when you start seeing things as important, and you're inspired about something, the importance of washing pots, the importance of eating prasadam, the importance of speaking Krishna conscious topics, chanting in the morning, waking up early, whatever it may be, doing exercise. When you share with someone, I don't know if you've ever experienced someone who's very inspired about a topic, even if you never had an idea to do it, just being with him for a few minutes, you're like, I want to go horseback riding. I want to go, cliff diving. I want to go snowboarding. I want to go paragliding, because they're so passionate about it. So if you're passionate about something and you share that, it has great effect. So natural, I would say, Prabhu, if that makes sense. Any other questions? Comments? No? Okay, so we'll finish here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai, Gaura Premanandi.
Thank you for the nice class.
Thank you, Prabhu.